Hello everyone, today I'll be reviewing Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. So Guess Who's Coming to Dinner came out in 1967 and was directed by Stanley Kramer. So this film starts off with a 23-year-old white woman who's played by Katharine, and her name is Joanna Drayton, and she's just come back from a holiday in Hawaii, and while away in Hawaii she met a 37-year-old black man who is a doctor, Dr. John Prentice, and is played by Sidney Poitier, and the two of them fell in love in Hawaii, and then at the start of the film we see them come back home to San Francisco. Now Joanna, she's about to introduce her fiance because the two of them are thinking of getting married. She's about to introduce him to her parents, who are played by Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy, but there's a bit of apprehension here. She's not sure exactly how they're going to take it, how they're going to take the fact that she's fallen in love with a man who is from a different race. So we then eventually see Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy's character meet Sidney Poitier's character for the first time, and really throughout this film we see their reaction to their sudden marriage and the fact that they are different races. And what is interesting is that both Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy's characters, they're both quite liberal-minded. Spencer Tracy's character has spent his career fighting against discrimination, but at the same time they are slightly uncomfortable with the fact that their daughter is marrying somebody of a different race. So the film is quite, well, you might think this film deals with quite a heavy subject matter, but actually I think this film deals with it extremely well and is actually still a very entertaining and actually often quite funny and amusing film, and is actually quite an easy watch altogether. Now what I do like about this film as well is that from the title, obviously Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, the Guess Who's Coming part, it actually refers to Dr. John Prentice's parents, or Sidney Poitier's character's parents, because they also come to dinner along with Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy's character and the young couple as well. So the film really builds up to this dinner towards the end of the film, and we see the characters' reactions to it. And this film was obviously not very controversial, but it was pretty controversial at the time because it was really the first film to deal with the issue of interracial marriage in a positive light, and it was very relevant at the time. As I said, it came out in 1967, and around this time it was still illegal in quite a lot of southern states in the US for a mixed race couple to marry each other. And it was actually only a few months before this film was released that it was completely legal everywhere. So this was certainly something which was very relevant at the time. It was an issue which was often at the forefront of lots of people's minds at the time with race relations in America, obviously with the civil rights movement as well. What I also found interesting is that there are some black characters in the film that are also opposed to interracial marriage, so it's not just the white characters in the film that have a problem with it. There are also some black characters as well, and in fact really the character that seems most opposed to it is actually Sidney Poitier's dad in the film. He really doesn't feel comfortable with it at all. What I do like about this film is that it doesn't always take itself too seriously. We do have some funny moments here and there. There's a maid character in the film who always has some funny lines, and actually quite a lot of the characters, even Spencer Tracy's character, who often seems quite grumpy in the film, he does have a few funny moments here and there, and some of the dialogue, it is quite witty and quite light-hearted. And I like the fact that this film hasn't made Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn's character to be out-and-out bigots or racist. So it's not as if they're actually being rude to Sidney Poitier's character, or they're actually racially abusing him. They're actually being very respectful to his character, although still being slightly uncomfortable. Though it just makes the film a lot more easier to watch and a lot more easier for us to understand it from a different character's point of view instead of disliking their characters, because it is interesting how Spencer Tracy's character is very liberal-minded, as I say, and he doesn't like discrimination, but at the same time he wasn't expecting an issue like this to actually come into his own life. So we actually see how he often has to, I suppose, practice what he preaches in a certain way in terms of changing his opinion. And I think it just comes across excellently in this film. Sidney Poitier, as always, a fantastic actor. He always plays very smart, very well-spoken characters. And in this film, he's very likeable, and we really get behind his character in this film. It's impossible not to like Sidney Poitier, especially in this role. He does absolutely superb, and he has some excellent lines and some very memorable quotes as well, which I remember having after watched this film. Katharine Hepburn as well is absolutely wonderful. She'd been in loads of great films before, but here she's impressed me yet again. I really think she was a fantastic actress, and just one of the characters that really changes throughout the film. Although she's never a nasty character, her character at the start is very apprehensive and very concerned for her daughter, but at the same time she really starts to see a different side to the situation. In my opinion though, I think the stand-up performance has to be Spencer Tracy. He is just brilliant in this film. In every single scene he seems to steal, and interesting enough, this was actually his last film before he died. He actually died only a few weeks after the filming had finished, so he never actually watched the final film, which is very sad as he gives an excellent performance. And his character in this film, probably one of the more interesting ones. He always has opinions, he's always trying to assess the situation, and even as we go towards the end of the film, he has this excellent speech. It's a really well spoken speech, just really summing up the whole film up to that point. And yes, it's very sad that he never saw the whole film, but yeah, fantastic performance from Spencer Tracy. So in terms of the downsides in this film, I haven't really talked much about Katharine Houghton, who plays Sidney Poitier's fiancée in this film. And Katharine Houghton is Katharine Hepburn's niece, and you can tell from watching this that she's not the most experienced of actors. Her character is very happy. She seems in a very good mood all the time, but her personality, it seems quite distant from all the other characters in this film, and I think that her performance, it doesn't come across as very convincing to me. Not saying that she's a terrible actress, I'm just saying that when compared to other greats in this film, I mean, you know, in this film we have Sidney Poitier, Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy, so obviously, you know, most other actors are going to look pretty bad compared to them, and yeah, unfortunately I didn't think her performance was particularly great. I also have to say that unfortunately I thought the pacing was a little bit slow. There were a few scenes where it did seem conversations were repeated. But having said that, I did find the conversations interesting. It did seem as though there were a few times where I was thinking, haven't the characters just said this 20 minutes ago? But nevertheless, as a whole, I think this film is excellent. So I'm going to give Guess Who's Coming to Dinner a rating of 8 out of 10. I think it's an excellent movie. It deals with the subject matter very well, but at the same time it's not too preachy, it's not too heavy. And altogether, actually a fairly nice and just a actually fairly light-hearted film, which I found quite surprising. And there was that very nice song, The Glory of Love, which is played at the start and also at the end of the film, which really suits the mood of the film as not being too downbeat and also a very nice watch. So there we go. So that is my review of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. So what do you guys think? Have you seen Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Please let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section below. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.